All right, good people, what's up? Welcome to the Neural Dojo podcast. This is a space where humans and machines meet to think out loud. Around here, we call it binary banter. These are short, smart conversations that explore how intelligence, creativity, and curiosity evolve together. No hype, well, maybe a little hype, but mostly we rock with dialogue worth tuning into. I'm Kyrie, aka KT, the AI Sensei. My AI co-host crew is actually off today, so it's just you, me, and this playbook. So, yeah, man, let's get into it. Today, we're unpacking the AI Fix-It-While-Flying Playbook. We're going to talk about why smart leaders need to stop tinkering with AI on their own and start actually scaling their business with it. Look, I talk to business owners and operators every single week. I'm constantly in rooms with founders, agency owners, and executives who are looking at the current landscape and feeling a very specific type of pressure. Like, they know AI is the next major shift. They see the headlines, they see their competitors launching new features, but when they look internally at their own operations, they just freeze. And honestly, the biggest trap I see them falling into right now is waiting for perfect conditions. I mean, they look at their messy CRM, they look at their scattered standard operating procedures. They realize their data is living in like 10 different spreadsheets, a dozen Google Docs, and the heads of 3 key employees. And they think to themselves that they've got to clean up years of messy data, train their entire staff, and build a flawless tech foundation before they can see a single dollar of ROI from artificial intelligence. Real talk. If you wait for perfect, your competition is going to eat your lunch. Perfection is the enemy of deployment. If you sit around waiting for a pristine data lake before you make a move, you're leaving money and time on the table. Your margins are going to shrink while the business down the street figures out how to operate at twice your speed. I mean, I know this because I've lived it. It actually took my wife looking at me and asking, babe, what are you waiting for to get this very podcast out the door in November of 2025? I was sitting there obsessing over the formatting, the design, the exact audio equalizer settings. I wanted the dojo to look and sound like $1 million podcast from day one. That was the exact moment I thought, hey, yo, done is better than perfect. If I'd waited until every single piece was flawless, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I had to launch it to learn how to improve it. And I did just that. If you go back and watch the first set of episodes, they look a bit different than the ones that came later. Iteration was needed, and iteration is what happened. And from that and feedback, well, I now have 2 formats. Format 1 is where my co-hosts join me and we get into that binary banter I mentioned in the intro. Format 2 is this type of episode where it's just me talking directly to the people. But, and this is a big but, jumping in blindly and trying to build it yourself isn't the move either. We need to have a very honest conversation about opportunity cost today. As a business owner or an operator, your time is the most expensive asset in the building. But I'm seeing brilliant CEOs spending their Sunday afternoons watching YouTube tutorials, trying to figure out how to wire together an API to build a custom chatbot. You didn't build a business to become a part-time prompt engineer. You built a business to lead, to strategize, and to scale. You need what I call the AI Fix-It-While-Flying Playbook. And yes, I mean that literally. We're going to fly the plane while we fix the engine. You don't have to ground your entire operation to get AI working for you. You get the immediate ROI and altitude while the professionals handle the heavy lifting in the engine room. So let's talk about the flying part first. To get this plane off the ground quickly, we look at the front door of your business. Listen, when most people hear AI implementation, they immediately think about ripping out their core software and doing a massive, painful migration. We're not touching your complicated internal ERP system on day one. We're not trying to completely rewrite how your fulfillment team delivers your core service. Doing that can take months. It can disrupt your cash flow, and it just exhausts your team. Instead, we're looking for the lowest hanging fruit that directly impacts your margins. We're looking for the high friction, highly repetitive tasks that live right at the boundary between your business and the public. We're talking about customer Q&A, booking appointments, and basic lead qualification. This is where we step in and deploy a solution like a professional AI chatbot right at your front door. Notice I said a professional AI chatbot, not some generic wrapper you bought for 20 bucks that hallucinates and promises your customers free products. We're talking about a bespoke, dialed in, highly constrained agent. It's isolated, it's safe, it uses a very specific set of clean data that we engineer and curate for it. We don't feed it your entire company history. We feed it exactly what it needs to know to successfully greet a customer, answer their top questions, qualify their budget, and get them on your calendar. And when you deploy that correctly, the shift in your business is immediate. Suddenly, your customer service throughput skyrockets. Why? Because your team gets 30% of their day back. They're no longer answering the same 5 questions about your pricing, your location, or your timeline over and over again. They're freed up to handle the complex, high value interactions that actually require human empathy and human negotiation. At the same time, your booking rate likely goes up. When that happens, it's pretty dope. It makes sense, right? Let's think about the customer experience for a second. When a prospect is browsing your site late at night and has a buying question, they have high intent. They're ready to act, but typically they've got to fill out a contact form and wait 48 hours for a reply. By the time you answer, they've already moved on to a competitor. But your new front door agent, yeah, it captures those leads perfectly at 2 a.m. while you sleep. They get a warm, accurate, instant answer and a link to book a call right then and there. And yes, you can even have the bot handle the scheduling in the chat. The options are powerful. You can have voice chat too. Point is, that's the immediate, measurable ROI, giving your business lift and driving revenue. In most cases, you get to see the technology pay for itself within weeks, not years. It builds trust with your team because they see AI removing their busy work instead of replacing their jobs. It builds momentum. But while that front door AI chatbot is keeping you in the air, we've got to handle the fix down in the engine room. And let's just address the elephant in the room right now. There's this massive party line floating around the internet that AI magically turns everyone into a developer, a designer, or a tech implementation specialist. It simply isn't true. I mean, just because you technically can do a thing doesn't always mean that you should do a thing. Think singing, dancing, painting a room, and this might ruffle some feathers, but cooking. I see people getting hypnotized by the ease of these tools. They think because they can type a prompt into an interface, they're suddenly qualified to architect enterprise software. But any dev who's ever had to troubleshoot AI generated code by someone who can't spell SQL will tell you this is not the way. If anything goes wrong, if a bot hallucinates a bad refund policy, if it creates a loop that spams your database, or if it doesn't perform exactly the way you expect it to, reverse engineering and fixing AI code built by an amateur creates massive tech debt. It ends up costing you way more time, money, and brand reputation than if you had just tagged in a professional from jump. And if I'm keeping it all the way a buck, these things can happen in a professionally built system too. So just imagine the risk in a DIY one. Think about the airplane analogy again. You wouldn't try to rebuild a commercial jet engine mid-flight by yourself to save a buck, because if it goes down, that's on you. You would bring in a master mechanic. AI is no different. You hire experts and delegate tasks because they're versed in the thing. You delegate your accounting. You delegate your legal work. You delegate your high-end sales. Your AI infrastructure requires that same level of respect. That's exactly why you need an expert running the whole system, front to back. We don't just build the bot that gets you the ROI out front. We also handle the deep fix in the back. While you're enjoying the altitude and the increased lead flow, we go into the engine room of your business and start cleaning house. One of the first things we do is expose the shadow AI your employees are secretly using. And don't get it twisted, they're definitely using it, especially if you haven't provided your team with approved, secure AI tools. They're finding their own. They're using free browser extensions to summarize client meetings. They're pasting your proprietary company strategy into public language models to help them write reports. You've got to consider what might happen when an employee takes a confidential quarterly financial projection and pastes it into a public AI tool to make a slide deck. That data could become part of the training set. They're prioritizing speed over security because you haven't given them a safe way to move fast. That's a massive liability. We audit those workflows. We find out exactly where the data is leaking. Then we secure your permissions. We set up the right access tiers. We establish the actual data foundation you need to scale safely, ensuring that your private company information never trains a public model. We keep the plane flying and overhaul the engine at the exact same time so you can just focus on steering the company. You get the peace of mind knowing that your front door is generating revenue and your back room is totally secure. You're no longer tinkering, you're scaling. All right, I'm not going to let you leave without some practical moves. If you're ready to delegate this, you need to know what to hand over to the crew. I mean, I'm not asking you to write code, but I am asking you to be an operator and define the business problem. I have 2 dojo drills for you today. Drill 1, the after hours lead audit, and drill 2, the copy and paste map. So let's break down drill 1, the after hours lead audit. This is your low hanging fruit. I want you to look at your lead flow for the last 30 days and count exactly how many inquiries came in between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. If those prospects are sitting in the inbox waiting for your team to clock in the next morning, they're getting cold. Every hour a lead sits, the close rate drops dramatically. You're losing momentum, and you're definitely losing deals to competitors who answer faster. That's the exact gap a professional AI bot needs to fill. Bring that data to us, and we deploy a system that stops you from losing money while you sleep. Now for drill 2, the copy and paste map. This one's about your system health. I want you to ask your team what manual tasks require them to copy data from one system, open a new tab, and paste it into another. Here's the crucial part. Don't judge them for it. Just find out where it happens. Is it moving a lead from an email into a CRM? Is it pulling invoice details into a spreadsheet? Because every time a human hits copy and paste, you're losing margin and introducing a failure point. That manual gap is exactly where your data gets messy and human error creeps in. That's exactly where our foundational cleanup needs to start to build you a real integrated system. Look, if you want the front door ROI, but you know your engine room needs a serious fix, you don't do it yourself. You bring in the pros. We build the bots that save you time, and we do the audits that keep you safe. Stop being a bottleneck in your own business. Hit the link in the description to book a discovery call. Let's get your business flying. And with that, we'll call it. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you learned something that put that proverbial battery in your back to act on it. You've been locked into the Neural Dojo, where binary banter meets mindful conversation. If something sparked your curiosity, share it. Tag a fellow business owner who needs to stop tinkering and start delegating. Until next time, stay curious, stay balanced, and keep training your mind. Sensei out. Peace.
Building systems for the work we do, practical and precise, keeping the framework true. Neural Dojo, where the human and machine collide. Binary banter with the wisdom as our guide. KT, Bella, Jules, Jim. Stay balanced is that the algorithm never